In this video, we will start explaining the main structure of the micro-MVC folder. Okay, so let's go from the beginning. Down there we have the main files. You don't really have to do anything with those two. With this 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them actually. Nothing to do with those. You can check them, but there's no point for you to play with them because everything is a standard thing. Been in development for a long time. It was very carefully crafted for you so that you can make things easy for your life. Sometimes you may have to change this line, as I've already noted here, in the HT access, just in case your browser doesn't really understand the automatically HTTP to HTTPS transition. But that's it. That's all you have to do, right? So the index.html is one of the first things loaded. Basically, the index.php is the first, but this is where the real stuff, kicks in. Okay, it's the main core, what you see, what you feel on the website, and everything on the face of the web platform. There are certain sections here. The sections are actually, parts of the main HTML file, like the footer, like the header, like the languages. Pretty simple stuff here. Nothing really to worry. That's also been fixed for you. You can change them, alter them, delete them. Doesn't really make any difference. The platform will be still working. You just have to make sure that it fits your expectations and it fits your work, your objections. So here we have something under the folder site. Okay, we have something called the CSS, JS, and PHP. So I tend to separate certain entities to assist me in the development, and that's also, if you like to do that, if you'd like to do so, a good practice for you as well. So I have the CSS folder, which pretty much includes all the CSSs here. The micro-MVC has a microsite as an example, so the CSS is pretty simple. You can play with that and do whatever you want. So that's your entry, the main.css for graphics. Then we have the JS. Here's the main JS doing some simple stuff here. This is a nice extension that I developed called Yoda. Yes, the well-known Yoda from the Star Wars. And it basically loads some labels with some codes for English and for the Greek language. And this is being used afterwards inside the system so that they don't have to go and call Ajax all the time and have the correct content coming back for in language. I'm just doing here a shorthand by having this Yoda extension that pretty much lets you develop JSON settings where you set for whatever language you're going to be using or the languages that you want the user to have available, the labels that you can provide them with in all these languages. And then there's another file that you really don't want to mess with. Actually, you can delete it, but it will reappear after you refresh. It's called the allexmin.js, so it's all extensions minimize.js. So this is a file that's pretty much do caching. So whenever you reload the micro-MVC, what it does is that it goes and checks for all the JavaScript available for the system that you want to load, and it compacts them and loads them into one file. And so instead of loading like a 10 or 20 different files, just loads this one, minimized extension, JS, and everything runs smoothly and everything goes lightning fast. Okay, that's pretty simple. And then with the PHP folder, here's the compactor. So this is the framework that does the minification of all the JavaScript that exists in the that has been loaded and that exists in the micro-MVC. So you can also check it out. Nothing to do really. If you mess with this guy, you will end up with something broken for sure. But this is there for you. This is an open source project, so you can play with it. You can do whatever you want. If you want to learn, feel free to hack around. So okay, done with the site. So yeah, sure. So then the templates, as you can see, the two main core um, folders are the framework and the site. So the site was the simple one. The framework now has pretty much all the controls for the platform of micro-MVC. We have here certain files. We have also the template folder. Now the template folder looks like the sections folder in the site, under the site structure, but there's a difference. As you can see, inside all those files, there are those curly braced labels. Okay, like this one, like this one, stuff like that, like this one. So what this does is this. In the utilities section of the core framework of micro-MVC, there's something called the template engine. So the template engine looks for and loads for certain HTML elements, and you're free to replace any sort of labels in curly braces, like the message here, and add your content, either static content or dynamically based on the languages of the supported languages from your interface. So this means that you have the ability to dynamically show stuff to the users, and just because you don't have to go through and echoing through PHP or with any other like JavaScript engine or something like that, any HTML elements all the time. We just create a specific template that never changes if this is what you want, if this is static content, and you just replace the labels with something dynamic. That's pretty neat, fairly simple, and you can play with that and make whatever you want, that fits your projects. Now there are certain files here, like every good MVC framework, we also have something called the controller. So the controller, the MVC controller, and specifically, is a file that can include certain functions that you can store and restore information for the controller to use in any in any MVC route. Not too useful if you're not into the MVC stuff. But the micro MVC has been built that way so that you don't have to actually use the controller. Things are being done automatically for you. So if you just create a new page, like mypage.phtml, which this page is lived, by the way, under the MVC views. You just create a route. I'll show you, like up there in the routes.cfg, and it just loads, it just works. So there's no reason for you to go through the PHP and create any routes and anything. So the idea of micro-MVC is to write less code and make many things possible with the least cost possible. So least code for you. And so under the views, of course, there's an assets folder. Again, I'm separating things like JS and PHP. There's something called the Ajax test PHP. This is useful for the test PHTML. So the test route on the MVC. Nothing too crazy, just simple stuff to check out and test them. And then we have also separated here the root.js, which is for the root, the main route, a micro-MVC route, and the test route, which has pretty much of a logic, and it does certain stuff. Here is the things that you see happening under the test route in the micro-MVC folder or on the website of the micro-MVC. Okay, nothing too crazy here, nothing too worryly. Then the models, like I said, for the ones who really want to play with the classic MVC models, we have the root.php, the test.php, and you can add whatever routes you want. And the MVC will just utilize this gay data for, like you can pretty much build any sort of function you want there. It's not like unlike any other libraries or frameworks. There are no constant stuff that the MVC is looking. It's just exploits and provides you with the ability to do whatever you see fit for your projects or for your requirements, for your needs. So there are no standards there. You can do whatever you want, and it just works. No worries, nothing is gonna break. So then we go here with the miscellaneous folder. There are things that I covered in my past videos. I'm just gonna give you an example here for the conditions of the dispatcher. So basically that's a condition. So in the dispatcher, under the conditions folder, you can pretty much add your PHP files, which they have certain conditions for certain routes or certain certain routes that you don't have to basically like they don't have to go somewhere. Like in this instance here, I have the bit route. So what the bit does is like it's giving me a feedback every time I send a request to the PHP, so that I get back with a 1 and or a 0 depending on when the server is alive or not. So if I just want to check with the timer if the server is alive, I'm just sending a request to the bit MVC route, and that's something that I do, and nothing really shows up there. I mean, there's no page or nothing to load. It's just a fake route that you can have lots of fake routes on the road. I'm sorry, not route, a fake route, so you can do certain stuff as an engineer, or maybe testing. I don't know, lots of different things. Or maybe there's a normal route that you have to change something to alter the way that is being shown, depending on the case, on the choices of the user. I don't know. It's up to you guys. And now we have the gates. So like I said before, the gates are a powerful tool for managing AJAX requests. One of the most important ones is like, I don't know, let's go with authentication. So that's a sample template for authentication. So again, here you see that for every request we check if the micro-MVC has been defined. Okay, if none of this defined, and something is wrong, there's a hacking or something, is somebody tries to have direct access to the system, nothing will work, and it will just give them an exit. So what the auth.php does is like whenever a user wants to authenticate, and you can check that also in the test.html file. When you do tests like login and register and authentication, stuff like that. You just have inside here the logic of the operation of what it means to be authenticating. And you can see here that I'm using certain stuff from the framework, like the DB utilities or the utilities or other things, and also like the set session variable or originated session. Like I said, I'm an IT security guy as well, so I'm very, very cautious when it comes to security. So certain things here are important. And as you can see also, just because I love, writing SQL, we also take care of security here with certain things like the double quotes here and closed in a single quotes, and with the MySQL real escape string, with specific operations. So this process is pretty much secure. It's pretty much the standard in the industry. So many try to hack it, myself included. We didn't really do much, so this is pretty much secure. If you follow the structure, there's no reason for you to use any prepared statements, unless of course you love them and you like them and you find them they are favorable to you. But it's fine. It's fine with me. It's fine with you. You can do whatever you want. Nothing is gonna break again. Everything is pretty simple. That's for you to decide. Now going back to the main to the main structure here, we have also the logs folder. So here the system keeps any errors or any other information relevant to the system, and this is important for you if you want to just go through the details every now and then and check if everything is correct, or debugging stuff that may go wrong. Now the libraries pretty much includes all the main core engines of the MVC framework. I've shown you also this in the past, so there's nothing really to show here. Now the extensions folder is a very important one. The extensions folder is being divided in JavaScript and PHP as well. And as you can see here, we have the core extensions and the user extensions in JS. The same follows for PHP. We have the core extensions, and then we have the user extensions. So what we do is that every core JS or core PHP extension cannot and should not be deleted or being altered. If you alter this, you will create a huge problem with the framework, with the whole ecosystem of the micro-MVC. And that's because these are the fundamental frameworks or utilities or extensions, or however you want to call them, to support all the main operations. Now, every user JS or user PHP extension can be safely removed. You can play with them, change them, alter them. Nothing bad will happen to the system, of course, unless you utilize them, you use them somehow, and you break them. So that's your problem then, okay? No worries. All I'm saying is you can play with them. There are lots of things that you will love also with the core, by the way, and with the user extensions, and you're happy to hack around because you're gonna learn some important stuff. One of the most important as well is the Splash extension, okay, the one that I told you before, and there's a documentation specifically for the Splash extension. That's a PDF it won't open anyway, and there's also a nice map here with what Splash does and how it separates the elements. So that's pretty cool for you to go hack and see how the interfacing works. And you see here how I followed the structure for building those HTML DOM groups. Good stuff for you to play with. And one of the other important things is also the portal extension. This is a very important extension for the framework because what it does is it encapsulates all different kinds of operations that the curl request would do. And Portal pretty much supports get, post, put, delete requests, either with post or with get or put or delete. With either option, you can do crazy things. You can also pass credentials. You can pass any sort of headers you want, you like, any parameters, cookies. You have timeout options. You have ways to encapsulate credentials. So I've built this framework in a way, this wrapper class of curl, so that you can do the hard stuff of the curl in a very, very fairly simple and easy way. And that's very actually important for most of the operations that you make once you make calls to other servers other than your server, I mean. So that's for the extensions. And then we have the errors folder. That's pretty much, pretty standard. It's like you can build here any errors that you want to present the user, like for the classic, the well-known, famous, or the infamous 404, and other custom errors as well, with our templates as well. Now in the content folder we have what we call the content of the content per language. So you have like GR content and English content, like we have here, author, stuff like that. So everything is just HTML, having basically labels. Although you can also have HTML in there, but I don't know. Basically, I don't use that. But of course, you can have HTML as well. And here we have also the Greek stuff. So that's pretty simple here. Nothing really to worry. You can play them with them freely. Now we have also here the config folder. So the config folder has quite a lot inside. So we have the miscellaneous. So that's a nice JSON that tells to micro-MVC, well, when I reload, I just want you to autoload those JS extensions or autoload the PHP extensions. If you see here, there's no reason for you to say, well, if it's a user or a core extension. No, it does it automatically. So you just say here, just tell it here, well, I just want to load this one, and it will load them. No worry, you have to worry not about any sort of structure of the folder. Okay, now the registry is an important one. So pretty much here we load to the system and we tell the system, those libraries exist, and these are their folders. So this is a core library, this is a user library, and once you say that, then the system, the framework, goes and checks if indeed those libraries exist. If they're not, you're gonna get it back with an error. And if they are, and if you've autoloaded them back in the previous file, then the compactor also works, compact them, minimizes them, and loads them into one single file, so that it loads very quickly. And the same happens for PHP, although the PHP doesn't have to really to compact anything, because before it runs, what it does is like basically, just loads there and being transpiled in C, and then everything is super fast. And then we have some extra configuration files. This is for you if you want to access any any database. So that's the main structure of the database connection string. The gates again are the labels where you tell to the system how you want, or which of the ones that you want are actually useful for you to utilize when you call a gate, an Ajax gate, to get some results back. So these are actually the names of the existing MVC, PHP. Let me go there to show you. Under the miscellaneous, dispatchers, gates. So these are the gates. This is the name of the gates which end with .php. Okay, so once you put the names here, they have to exist with the same name under the gates folder, and then just history. You can do whatever you want with those. The languages, there are just available languages. English is by default, so we just added here GR. You can have a comma, and with comma separate you have like DE or España or Italian or whatever. You get the idea, right? So that's the idea here. We're just gonna close this one. And the parameters, well, when after a few years playing with micro-MVC, I've noticed that there are certain problems with whenever you load something like a project and from within a social media or any other website, they tend to put a tag, to the new website. Whenever you play with SEO engines and you really want to make sure that your routing is correct, usually that messes up with the system. So I've created some the parameters.cfg file, the config file, so you can then put some exemptions or special, treatment of those magic parameters coming up from certain websites. So, for instance, here, if you open a link for the micro-MVC through the Facebook, it usually adds this FB CLID, which causes problems with the routing. But having this there, the system knows exactly how to manage automatically for you those parameters so that they won't break the whole structure, and automatically removes them. And that's also very useful for your SEO as well, because you don't want to mess up with any crazy parameters going up to the URL. And then the routing, of course, like I said, we have routes like the bit route and the test route. Here you can have like my route, whatever, so it's up to you to play with those routes, and depending on how you put them and when you create them, you have access to new routings. By the way, there's a programming way to do that for the ones who want to play with the routing. So you just create the so-called virtual routes, so there's no reason for you to have any specific declared route, configured route, or a real PHTML file. So you just create a new virtual route for your whatever reasons, and then you just when the system loads completely, it just disappears. That's it. Okay, and the last thing we have here is something very awesome. That's why it's called awesome. So awesome here is a folder structure that assists all the web developers to separate the code from the design. So if you have a team, and you want to really separate the front end from the back end, okay, and also separate the front end design, just the designs, from the front end structure, like building stuff with HTML, that's your way to go. So it pretty much separates those 3-4 things. There are links here to assist the designers play only what's important for them, and then there are links also to assist the front-end developers play only with whatever they think is important for them, and also the back-end developers to play the things that they also are important only for them. So if you are on a Windows system, this works automatically. If you are in a Linux system, you have to run this one. Okay, this is only for Linux. to recreate the links in the Linux way. And I mean, I think that's pretty simple. I mean, if you play with that like a day or so, you'll be super expert in micro-MVC. So that's the idea. So thank you very much for watching my video, and I wish you a pleasant day. Take care. Cheers and happy hacking, happy programming.